Hey, hello, and welcome to another episode of The Educated Fan. My name is Brandon. I am joined here by your co-host, my best friend. I'm awake today, buddy. I'm awake. I'm ready to record this, get rocketed into a wonderful 4th of July weekend. Got any fun plans this weekend, pal?
Going up to the lake, going to see my parents, hanging out with them. Danny and I are going up there. Sunday might watch some fireworks in Fort Wayne, and then Monday, not sure what to do on Monday because I got Monday off work, but gonna relax, enjoy celebrating the independence of the greatest country in the history of the world, and wearing a lot of red, white, and blue. How about yourself?
I have great tickets to the Mariners Texas Rangers game here in Seattle this Sunday. Tomorrow, nothing exciting. Paige is working. I feel like we have something Monday or Tuesday, but I'm blanking out. I don't know. She's off for 3 days. We're going to enjoy ourselves somehow, some way. And yeah, best country on the planet. 4th of July, my favorite holiday. Might rock a stash for the game. Got some Rangers jerseys for the game. Hopefully I don't know where they do the fireworks in Seattle. Hopefully like off the water. Hopefully going to be seeing that. So we'll see what happens. We got kind of an open plan here, so nothing specific. Today we got Colts tight end position. Some Colts news for you. A divisional breakdown of the AFC West. And a little bit of news around the league, and of course, new kid at school. Andrew, the Colts tight end position. Frank Reich, probably his favorite position besides quarterback. In his offense, tight end, very important, featured big time. Going to see a lot of touchdowns, hopefully, out of the tight ends. We're going to see some great blocking out of the tight ends this year. With Carson Wentz and his legs, it's exciting to see. Sometimes tight ends run those chip and goes on defensive ends, delayed routes and whatnot. So we could see some exciting stuff out of the tight ends this year with a more mobile quarterback. Let's get started at the top. WWJD, what is Jack Doyle going to do this year?
WWJD. We that's one of our favorite sayings, I think, out of all of the Colts sayings we talk about. But Jack Doyle, the ultimate professional. I mean, last year, we got to admit, last year wasn't Jack's best year by far. I was looking at the stats, and last year he only had 33 targets. And in 2018, he had 33 targets. And he only played 6 games. Last year, he played 14 and had 33 targets. So down year for Jack Doyle for sure. So I think it kind of bodes the question. I mean, can Jack Doyle still produce at a tight end one level? Because, I mean, he made the Pro Bowl in 2017, made the Pro Bowl in 2019. So he's not that far away from a Pro Bowl caliber season. So with Jack Doyle, it could have been just Phillip Rivers style of play. Really, the Phillip Rivers didn't really use the tight ends too much last year. Even when Mo Alley Cox would get going, it'd only be a few catches here or there. So it could have been that. It could have been that Frank Reich was getting a little bit away from the tight ends and using them more to block because of Anthony Costanzo's injury. It could have been a variety of different things. But Jack Doyle, I think, with what you said about Carson Wentz, because Carson Wentz historically has really loved using the tight end position as well. With Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, Trey Burton, when Trey Burton was with the Eagles, Carson Wentz really loves the tight ends, and kind of similar to Andrew Luck, Carson Wentz uses the tight ends as security blankets. Right. So I think if what we need to expect from Jack Doyle, when you think about Jack Doyle, I mean, he's never been a game breaker as a tight end. I think the longest catch in Jack Doyle's entire career is 28 yards. So, but he's still going to be that guy that consistently moves the chains down the field. So I think, especially early in the season, when Carson Wentz is trying to get that rhythm back, we could see that's when Jack Doyle is starting to produce games of maybe 4 or 5 catches for 60 yards or something, and maybe a touchdown. So just be that security blanket for Carson Wentz as he starts to get his rhythm back.
I think Jack can still do it. I don't have high expectations of Jack Doyle, but how much do you think those, like you mentioned, Philip Rivers style, not only Phil Rivers style, but again, back to this whole mobility thing, the tight ends had to have been getting used more as blockers this past year, as opposed to pass catchers. Obviously, Mo Alley Cox produced in the end zone, in the red zone. Trey Burton had some big first downs. He wasn't high volume by any means, but he had some big moments. But yeah, Jack was the one, typically kind of this, like you said, a security blanket, all reliable. If things are breaking down, you can pretty much guarantee he's finding an opening in the field to at least get you some yardage. But he's a big time blocker as well. Do you think that he was just being used in that way more last year? Is that probably the main contributor to the lack of production last year?
It could have been. And like I said, when Costanza went out, Frank Reich had to really get creative because there just wasn't the quality depth at tackle. And so Jack Doyle was used more as an inline blocker last year. And I think it kind of all goes into it with that. Philip Rivers, I don't know if it wasn't necessarily that they weren't in sync, but it's almost like Philip Rivers wasn't really looking Jack Doyle's direction, and we're not really used to that because Jacoby Brissett would look Jack Doyle's direction, because really while we had Eric Ebron out there, Eric Ebron was only there in obvious passing situations, which Jack Doyle was in there on most every play just because of his ability to run block. I mean, Andrew Luck loved Jack Doyle. Andrew Luck looked for Jack Doyle all the time. So it's just almost like that connect, not necessarily that they didn't like each other. I'm not saying that at all. It was just like that connection wasn't there. So hopefully, and I think Carson Wentz, when you've talked or heard Jack Doyle speak this offseason, with them both being in the Indy area all offseason, and this is just continue up until training camp, they've already thrown multiple times. I think Jack Doyle actually, along with like Michael Pittman, are the two guys that have thrown the most with Carson Wentz since he's gotten to Indy. And so I think Jack Doyle will assume his normal role of being that security blanket. Now we have Kylan Granson on the team, which we'll talk about. Mo Alley Cox, the Colts decided to give him a bigger role. Are they going to become the more receiving tight end threat, and maybe that takes away some opportunities for Jack Doyle? We'll have to see. But Jack Doyle can still do it. He's still got those very reliable hands, and I still think on third downs we're going to see Jack Doyle pick up his fair share of first downs this year. So it might not be a Pro Bowl year, might not be necessarily a lot of volumes, but I think when called upon, I mean, we have confidence Jack Doyle can still get it done.
Yeah, it's going to be significant moments of the game where you see him produce in the big moments that we need him the most, I think. Not necessarily a volume, large volume of production. What should Mo Alley Cox role be this year, Andrew? My opinion is touchdowns. That's his role, touchdowns. He's got to be in the red zone scoring touchdowns.
I wrote this in my article this week previewing the tight end position. I want the Colts to give Mo Alley Cox a shot. I think Mo Alley Cox should have a bigger role in this offense. Yeah. We saw it last year when Jack Doyle went down in weeks 2 and 3 and Trey Burton was still on the mend from his injury, still trying to come back. When Mo Alley Cox was the featured tight end, I mean, against Minnesota, he had like 5 catches for 111 yards. I think it's one, I always forget who exactly it is, but one of the Indy Star guys calls Mo Alley Cox like a pissed off moose when he's running down the field, just because of how large that man is. I mean, he's 6'5", 260 pounds. When you look at his hands, he can pretty much grasp an entire football, like just all the way around in his massive hands. So I would love to see the Colts give Mo Alley Cox more reps, because not only has he proven that he is very efficient and very tough in the running game blocking, but each year we've seen Mo Alley Cox progress and get better with his route running, get better with his hands. That play against the Raiders in 2018 where he went up and snagged it one-handed from Andrew Luck, that play still fresh in the back of my mind. But I would love to see Oh yeah, I would love to see Mo Alley Cox get more of a shot and more of an opportunity to really prove himself as a legitimate threat in this league. Because the more weapons we have on this offense, Frank Reich loves to spread it around. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? He doesn't like to just force feed a guy. So if you have T.Y. Hilton that's able to make explosive plays, Michael Pittman, Paris Campbell, Kylan Granson, who it seems like can get down the field, and then you add Mo Alley Cox, this just massive beast that can get over across the middle and make tremendous catches. The more weapons, the more explosive elements you have to this offense, the better, and the more it's going to help Carson Wentz. So honestly, if it's up to me, I would love to see Mo Alley Cox get a much needed increase in reps and in opportunities within this Colts offense.
I agree. Sorry, there's a Bailey appearance today. I'm with you, Andrew. So I'm sure anybody that listens to this by now has got to know Mo Alley Cox was not a football player in college, right? He was a basketball player. Did he play any football in college?
He did not. The last time he had played organized football before the Colts was his freshman year of high school. So,
and I hate to keep beating this freaking horse, but with another full off season, not COVID related, and another year in Frank Reich's offense, he spent the last few years not just kind of just working off the raw athleticism. And over the last couple of years, you've seen him progress with his technique, like you said, route running, blocking, all these things. I mean, this is a year I think that you could see a breakout year from Mo Alley Cox if he's given the correct, the right opportunities from the Colts moving forward this year. So, yeah, I think that athleticism built on top of, hopefully some added technique and, just knowledge of the playbook. Understanding why things are the way they are in the for each play and each check and everything, as opposed to just knowing it. Like you know the routes now. You need and what your role is to understand why your role is the way it is. That's going to make him even better this year. That's my prediction. And Kylan Granson. I mean, we're probably, aside from Kwity Paye, this is probably the most exciting rookie prospect we have this year. If he's as athletic and ready to go as you seem to think he is, I think he's going to have a special rookie year.
Yeah, and I think that Kylan Granson definitely has, next to Kwity Paye, he has the biggest chance to make an impact this year for the Colts.
Yeah.
And I mean, we talked about him last week when we did New Kid at School.
Yeah.
I wrote a big piece on him this week for Horseshoe Huddle, part of the Rookie Files. Kylan Granson, and when I was really diving deep into his backstory, this kid's faced a lot of adversity. He not only did he switch high schools 3 times or 2 times within a 2-year span within high school. He broke his leg before his senior year, like we said, still came back and led his team to a state championship game. Started at Rice, was gray shirted, which means he wasn't even going to be on scholarship till the second semester.
I didn't even know what a gray shirt was until you told that story.
Got himself a scholarship and played as a true freshman. Right. And then after that, I mean, he's at Rice for 2 years. Head coach gets fired. He leaves the program and enrolls at Austin Community College. Becomes a walk-on at SMU. Changes position again because he went from high school as a tight end, then a wide receiver at Rice, then to a hybrid tight end at SMU, and then just goes out there and dominates. So when this kid faces adversity, it's when he shines. And I really think Kylan Granson, just with the athletic ability that he possesses, he's not a huge tight end. He's only 6'2", about 241 pounds. So he's not this big Gronkowski who's 6'7", 260 pounds and just bulldozers. What he's gonna do best is over the middle of the field, he's gonna use his acceleration and his quickness to get open. Now, the last 2 years at SMU, Kylan Granson averaged 16 yards per catch. I mean, this kid is
nuts.
just a very explosive athlete, and I think that's what the Colts are going to want to use him for. Frank Reich was so juiced to finally get an explosive tight end. He hasn't had it since Eric Ebron, and when Eric Ebron was here fully healthy with Andrew Luck, I mean, he had 14 total touchdowns in 2018. The Colts are not necessarily expecting that from Kylan Granson this year, but they're expecting him to make an impact.
Yeah.
The kid's smart. He was recruited by Harvard. He's got a very high football IQ. So as far as grasping the playbook and grasping the offense, he shouldn't have a problem with that. That should actually bode well for him in making an impact sooner. So when you're bringing all of this into account, I think Frank Reich is going to give him every opportunity to succeed and put this kid in the best position, not only to have an impact quickly, but really to bring his confidence up and show that this kid is a legitimate threat in this league, whether it's inside, outside, in the backfield. This kid, that's the thing with Kylan Granson too. I know I'm going on a tangent, but I'm just very excited about what this kid can bring to the table, especially when Frank Reich gets his hands on him and can put him in the positions to succeed.
Yeah. Boy, I had something else to say about him, and you just kept on going. Who would you, real quick, if there was another tight end in the league, who you would compare Kylan Granson to, just to give the fans an idea of what they're looking at with this guy, what's your best guess?
I would say he is more... honestly, he's like a more athletic Trey Burton, because they're very similar in size. Trey Burton's about 6'2", 240, but Kylan Granson is better at acceleration. He's quicker, and I think he can create separation better in the middle of the field and really make those more explosive plays. So kind of imagine Trey Burton's style or body type, I should say, but more of a style like Darren Waller, because Kylan Granson is more of that wide receiver tight end kind of build. So a mix up of play style of Darren Waller with the body type of Trey Burton.
Okay. I love that. I mean, is he going to be used, do you think? I'm hoping, because blocking is so important to the Colts offense. You got to be able to block to be able to be on our roster, especially tight ends and wide receivers still. Do you think, though, that if that's something he needs to brush up on, we'll still be willing to try to use him more in the passing game?
The thing about Kylan Granson is he wasn't drafted to be a blocker. The Colts have the blocking covered with their tight end group. Jack Doyle's phenomenal blocker. Mo Cox is a great blocker. Kylan Granson was drafted to be that mismatch in the passing game, the Eric Ebron role that Frank Reich loves to use in this offense.
Which, by the way, Eric Ebron,
and the thing is, blocking, he needs to work on it.
Eric Ebron is a good pass catching tight end. I mean, he drops the ones that are the most important, but at the end of the day, I mean, the man made some plays when he was in Indianapolis Colts. So I love the idea of having another guy like that in the Frank Reich offense. That's tight ends. Anything else on tight ends, Andrew?
I think the only last thing I want to say is I expect this group to be more involved this year. It just didn't seem like Phillip Rivers was more towards the wide receivers last year. We didn't see much as the tight ends as we're used to seeing in the Frank Reich offense. I think that'll change some this year. Yeah, with just Frank Reich wanting them to get more involved, plus Carson Wentz's love for tight ends. Expect more targets and more touchdowns from that group this year.
Yeah, I felt. Especially for some reason, passes to Trey Burton. I think Trey Burton had that one good game, and for some reason, all of a sudden, he became Phil's security blanket for a minute, and Phil just threw some ugly, unnecessary, dumb balls to him at one point in the season. So, yeah, I expect our tight end group to produce a lot more this year. Let's move along to a couple of good pieces of Indianapolis Colts news. Training camp schedule's out, so I don't know how much any of you actually care about that, but training camp schedule right here for you. Right. We got some stuff in July, 4 days in July. The Colts don't have any stretches of more than 4 days in a row without a day off. I think I saw one stretch that I think I would have been really annoyed by if I was the Colts. Oh, they've got a stretch of 4, 1 day off, 1 day on, 1 day off, stretch of 3 days. Just give them the 2 days off and do another 4-day stretch. If I'm a Colts player, that's what I'm thinking. But you catching any of these camp days, Andrew?
I'm going to try to get to a couple of them.
Are you going to be credentialed for any of these camp days?
Get some insider information while I'm there. That's unknown at this point. Hopefully, because then I'd be able to get some great information to share on the podcast. But another thing is, we already talked about they're going to have the joint practices with the Carolina Panthers a few days before that game. And then this year, we're used to camp kind of ending around like August 15th.
Yeah.
Camp's going pretty late this year. And I don't know if that's because there's one less preseason game, so they're adding more camp practices, or it's because the Colts scaled back in the offseason workouts.
Sure.
They're making camp a little bit longer. But they're definitely making sure they get plenty of rest days with not going longer than 4 days in a row. So hopefully I'll be able to get some, get some credentials and bring you guys some pretty in-depth news on what's going on there.
That'd be very cool. I would like that a lot. And this piece of news here is hilarious to me. Lucas Oil Stadium is going to be 100% capacity this year. Okay, let's go, Colts fans. Let's go fill up Lucas Oil again. COVID, fuck you. So this is what's funny about this to me. Okay, so when all the teams started announcing they expected to be at 100% this year, nobody made it official. Okay, it wasn't official yet, right? And then I found out 30 of the 32 teams had made these statements that was their expectation. And the Colts were one of the 2 teams who had not, which was so weird because I expected us to be one of the first to make that announcement. And then we turn around and we're the first ones to get the actual for sure go-ahead green light. Lucas Oil Stadium is going to be rocking this year.
I can't wait. That first game, week 1 against Seattle, not only is the entire crowd going to be rocking just because it's Carson Wentz's Colts debut. T.Y. came home, so you already know everyone's going to be rocking ready for T.Y. Hilton. So it's going to be a fantastic opener. And last year, going to Lucas Oil Stadium, with only about 12,000 fans or so, it just wasn't right. So I'm glad there's going to be 63,000 fans in there rocking and ready to go. I'm so excited.
I am excited as well. Sorry about that. Listen, I'm trying to get my Jeep back today. Okay. Had a little issue with the car dealership not calling me back all day. Just had a moment. Let's move it along. Andrew, up next, we're going to do the division breakdown as I try to bring that up like an asshole. That one's always a quick transition from Colts news to this divisional breakdown. I got the buttons to click. Anyway, AFC West.
Producer stuff.
AFC West. I got a lot going on. I'm a popular guy. I'm a busy guy. AFC West, let's start off with the Chiefs, Andrew. Real quick, the AFC West does face the AFC North and the NFC East. So you're going to, all these teams are going to be playing the Browns, Steelers, Ravens, Bengals, Dallas, Eagles, Cowboys, already said Dallas, Giants, and the Washington football team, who may have a new name before the start of the season. Anyway, Chiefs coming off the 31-9 loss in the Super Bowl. No touchdowns, 14-2 record last year. Heartbreaking stuff for them. Free agency, if I miss anything, Andrew, that you know off the top of your head, obviously chip in here. They pick up guard Joe Thuney, big money for him. Kyle Long comes out of retirement for a year at guard. Good for him. Wants to go get a Super Bowl probably. And they've got tackle Mike Remmers on a 1-year deal. So a couple guys did leave that offensive line. Not necessarily a bad thing for them. They did pick up some good football players. Kyle Long, underrated, I would say. Probably because he's an offensive lineman, probably doesn't get the attention, that his brother got, his dad got, but a good football player. So they do have a good pickup there. They're able to hang on to strong safety Daniel Sorensen. I think that dude just flies. What do you think about Daniel Sorensen?
He's more of like a safety linebacker hybrid type player. He really is. He's all over the field. He definitely hits hard, and I think he brings. I mean, you've got Tyrann Mathieu on that defense, so you got edge enough. But I think he does bring an added edge to that defense of the Chiefs.
Yeah. Wide receiver Demarcus Robinson. And obviously, we've talked about the gigantic extension that Patrick Mahomes got, the 10-year deal. And he did have foot surgery this summer, so going to be looking out at, for him on that. They did lose, I guess if you want to call it a loss, Sammy Watkins. He's off to the Ravens. Eric Fisher, obviously, coming to the Colts. Damian Williams, their backup running back, he did some, he had some productive games in the playoffs the last 2 years. So we'll see how that loss affects them, or how much their now second-year running back. What's his name?
Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Helaire, yeah. We'll see how he does. Guy out of LSU. Cornerback Rashad Breeland, gone. Le'Veon Bell, obviously gone. Don't disrespect Andy Reid. Don't do that. I'm off the Le'Veon Bell train forever. Are you happy now?
And listen, so for those that, this is before we started the podcast. When Le'Veon Bell wanted out of Pittsburgh, Brandon was all on the train of the Colts trading for Le'Veon Bell. And I told him, we don't need that. We've got Marlon Mack. We're all solid. And then as soon as he left Pittsburgh, man, Le'Veon Bell has gone straight down to absolutely nothing. So
listen.
I'm just telling you. Listen to me, and I'll keep you educated, Brandon.
Before he got stuck on the frickin' Jets, okay, behind our offensive line, Le'Veon Bell would have had him a couple of years, okay? Like, we got to admit, Le'Veon Bell would have had him a couple of years behind our offensive line, where, as with the Jets, they don't have an offensive line. Moving along, sorry. Defensive end Okafor, to be determined, no new deal. Did he retire or something? What's the deal with Okafor? Do you know?
No, he hasn't retired yet. The big defensive end news with the Chiefs was Frank Clark. We talked about it last week, getting arrested for having a Newsie.
Maybe Okafor is going to be getting a deal soon.
But I think. Right. I think for me, just on the free agency, just all the offseason moves for the Chiefs, the big thing was obviously the offensive line. There was a lot of turnover in the offensive line. Obviously, they cut Eric Fisher. They cut Mitchell Schwartz, who was an all-pro right tackle for them. And you saw that when the Chiefs offensive line were missing those two in the Super Bowl, it was an absolute mess. So getting Joe Thuney, Kyle Long, Mike Remmers, they're remaking this offensive line and really making the protection of Patrick Mahomes a top priority.
And it needs to be. They saw what happened in the Super Bowl. It's just so obvious. Unfortunately for them, in the draft, they did not have a first-round pick. Their second-round pick was a linebacker out of Missouri, Nick Bolton, and another second-round pick, Creed Humphrey, center from Oklahoma. So another addition to the offensive line.
So the reason they didn't have a first round pick, and we didn't mention this as a pickup, they traded for Orlando Brown Jr.
Oh shit, I forgot all about Orlando Brown.
He will be their new left tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs. So that's why they didn't have that first round pick. And Orlando Brown Jr. is a pretty talented tackle, so we'll see how that works out, because he was a right tackle.
I forgot all about
to play left tackle. Ravens didn't want to pay him left tackle money. So now he's going to be getting left tackle money with the Chiefs and playing that position.
I did forget all about Orlando Brown. That's on me. Like I said, the tracker I'm using to get all these trade or signings and whatnot doesn't include the trades. Schedule. How many primetime games do you guess? You already saw the outline. 5 primetime games with a bye in week 12. A couple notable games. Love the Browns week 1. I love that rematch in week 1. That's going to be a hell of a game. That's a 1 o'clock game. That's in the first wave of games in the day. That's going to be hard to watch that one and the Colts and Seahawks.
Well, I'll be at Colts and Seahawks, so that won't be a problem for me.
I will not be at that one.
It's going to be a great game.
Dude, I'm going to be on my way home maybe during that game. Like moving back to Indiana. Not good for me. Moving along here. And then later in the season, they have a run of Bills, Washington football team, and Titans, which all 3 teams, I think you and I probably agree, are going to be good. The Washington football team is on their way up. Ron Rivera's doing good stuff over there. What they were able to do in the playoffs last year was crazy. So, and then Green Bay week 9, always love Mahomes and Rodgers going at it. My quick summary on them. Go ahead.
Rodgers is still playing.
Oh shit! Yeah, you're good point. Maybe you know what, the Packers.
Still playing.
Anything I say about the Packers about that being important football going forward, just that's me assuming Aaron Rodgers is going to play.
Asterisks on it.
Yeah. Chiefs coming off of 2 Super Bowl appearances, 3 AFC championships in a row. I don't know, Andrew. You got to wonder. Do you think these runs take a toll on them, or if they're able to maintain, being able to push on the gas pedal, and let alone having the motivation to keep going? Those are deep runs, and the Patriots are special. All those Patriots runs are special because somehow they kept doing it. I mean, even just the AFC championship games are impressive. Can the Chiefs do that, or do these runs kill them?
It's going to be tough because there is that some people might lose the motivation, but other teams are gunning for them, and that takes a toll on you. The Buffalo Bills are looking to take that next step. The Cleveland Browns have gotten considerably better. Baltimore is trying to get there. Who knows what the Colts are going to look like with Carson Wentz if they could take the next step into becoming an AFC contender. So there's a lot of good young AFC teams that are going to be fighting and gunning for the Kansas City Chiefs. So we're getting to the point where we can't just automatically put the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game each year, because there's a lot of good football teams in the AFC.
Right. And then you got Mahomes coming off this foot surgery. It does leave a question mark. We assume he's going to be fine. We assume he's still going to be Mahomes, but sometimes injuries and surgeries cause some problems. But they did do what they needed to this offseason to protect him. They're still the most dangerous offense in football, especially if he can get some more time in the backfield, stop making him run for his life. They might be able to make another run. It's not out of the question. But for them to have a slide this year would not be a historical anomaly, that's for sure. Sorry it's so much Chiefs talk, but, they're the team in the AFC. They're the team to beat in the AFC, and that's who you got to talk about. Moving along here to the Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders, 8-8 last season. They were busy in free agency. I can't even remember all the guys they let go, but I've got a list here. But they did pick up defensive end Yannick Ngakoue on a 2-year deal. Okay, so maybe he stays somewhere for more than 1 year. Running back Kenyon Drake on a 2-year, $11 million deal. Kenyon Drake, not a bad running back. Wide receiver John Brown on a year deal. Defensive end Solomon Thomas. Defensive tackle Quentin Jefferson. Wide receiver Willie Snead, who is sneaky good. Strong safety Carl Joseph. And center Andre James. So they've lost pretty much their entire offensive line, I believe. Everybody's been talking about how shitty they did in free agency. That list right there, those are some good additions to that football team.
Yeah, it is. I like the combination of Kenyon Drake and Josh Jacobs in the backfield. Yeah. Getting that two-headed monster to help take the pressure off Derek Carr. Yannick Ngakoue, I thought would have been a good signing for the Colts. Obviously, went out to Las Vegas. I was a big fan of Solomon Thomas as well, possibly joining the Colts defensive line. The Raiders are, ever since Mike Mayock and John Gruden have gotten there, they're not the conventional team. They do a lot of out of the box things, and they do a lot of things you don't expect them to do. So some of these moves you really wouldn't necessarily predict. Putting John Brown on the team gives Derek Carr another weapon besides Darren Waller, because Henry Ruggs III, while he had some moments, he was still a rookie wide receiver. I expect him to probably take a little bit of a jump. They've got some speedsters now on the outside. So the Raiders definitely took a different approach to free agency than the Colts did.
Yeah. Cut Richie Incognito, traded their whole offensive line away. Guard Gabe Jackson, center Rodney Hudson, tackle Trent Brown. Nelson Aguilar went to the Patriots, running back Devontae Booker to the Giants. Wasn't he good? Isn't he good? Or am I thinking, who's their other running back?
Spells. He's not.
Jacobs. That's who I'm thinking of. Okay, that makes me feel better about letting Devontae Booker go. I think I had Josh Jacobs on my mind. I'm like, what the fuck are they thinking? And Vic Beasley still not re-signed if he gets re-signed. The draft, though, Andrew, round 1, pick 17, Alex Leatherwood, offensive tackle out of Alabama. Everybody regarded him as one of the most. You love the guy. I mean, he's one of the most NFL-ready tackles in the draft. They got him, as well as a safety in round 2.
I'm a fan of Alex Leatherwood. I was not a fan of him at that spot. I mean, good for the Raiders because that allowed Kwity Paye to continue to fall to us. Yep. But Alex Leatherwood, I thought, was at his best. Absolute best ranking was end of first round, more like top middle of the second round pick, because he doesn't have the standard length to play offensive tackle. A lot of teams saw him at guard. I said he could probably play tackle, but you're looking for, I mean, with Christian Darrisaw still on the board, Tevin Jenkins was still on the board at that point. I would have taken one of them easily before I would have taken Alex Leatherwood.
Schedule, they do have 3 primetime games, which I find hilarious, considering they were 8-8 last season. But they're the Raiders. They're in Las Vegas now. That's the way the money works.
Yep.
By week 8, notable games: Ravens week 1, Monday Night Football. That's an awesome football game. And then followed up right in a row, Steelers and Miami. That's a tough first 3 games. They've got their work cut out for them. Possible Justin Fields meeting week 5. And obviously we play them in Indy week 17. We seem to struggle with that Raiders team. I mean, we end up winning, I feel like, but I feel like it's always a tight game.
It was a tight game last year until the end, and then as soon as the Kenny Moore one-handed pick happened, the Colts just ran him out.
Kenny Moore the second, Andrew. Put some respect on that second.
Kenny Moore the second. That could possibly be a pretty big game because it's an AFC matchup. It's 17. At the end of the year. It could factor into the tiebreaker situation. So the Colts are going to have to take care of business that week. But yeah, they play like you said, Ravens Monday Night Football week 1. That's tough. The Steelers and Miami's going to be tough. It's the Raiders Browns don't have an easy schedule by any means, and a lot of turnover with this team. Plus I think the Chargers are going to be better. They're going to have to put some work in this season if they want to have a chance at a wild card berth, because I don't think they're ready for a division title. Yeah,
I said the Raiders got a chance this year. Looks like they've got some more weapons for Carr, who, by the way, does seem to be moving back towards that almost MVP level that he had a few years ago before he broke his leg against the Colts. The defense still somehow got better. Because that was good. It wasn't a bad defense last year, but obviously offensive line concerns. In reality, they did make some moves.
They were terrible defense last year.
Yeah.
They were terrible on defense last year. When you look at all their statistics.
Well, then I forgot.
They were god-awful on defense
last year. I forgot. But you know what? Can't forget the absolute weapon they have at tight end and Waller. So we'll see how they do. Chargers, 7-9 last year. Free agency. We'll speed through the Chargers and Broncos a little faster here. Pick up, I don't know why I said... I said Corey Linsley got paid, buddy. 5 years, $62.5 million to get Linsley away from Green Bay. Center. Right tackle, Matt Feeler, 3 years, $21 million. Tight end, Jared Cook, 1 year. And quarterback backup legend, Chase Daniel. It looks like they're making an attempt to protect their franchise quarterback, who is, hello Bailey, a legitimate franchise quarterback. Gone. Huge loss of Sam Tevy to the Colts, obviously. A couple of guards. Hunter Henry, I think, is probably the most damaging thing, along with Rayshawn Jenkins, Tyrod Taylor, who's going to be probably the starter in Houston. I don't know. Melvin Ingram and Mike Pouncey, I think, are still up in the air.
Pouncey retired, and Melvin Ingram is out there. But he's not going to come back. If they were going to bring him back, they would have signed him already.
Yeah.
I think you're right, though. I mean, Hunter Henry, the thing about Hunter Henry is he could never stay healthy. And the Chargers weren't going to pay that top money that he was requesting. I do think it's a fantastic move, though, that they are putting such an emphasis on protecting Justin Herbert. I mean, Justin Herbert is their franchise quarterback. He's a star. That's what he is. Corey Linsley, probably one of the best, if not the best center in the entire league, gets paid like it. We're going to talk about who they drafted to help protect Justin Herbert. I was a huge fan of almost all the moves that the Chargers made this offseason.
Round one, Rashawn Slater, offensive tackle out of Northwestern at pick 13. Like you said, they drafted somebody to help protect Herbert as well. Round two, Asante Samuel Jr., cornerback out of Florida State. And they had a couple of round 3 picks, maybe a little help at wide receiver in Josh Palmer, and tight end Trey McKitty out of Georgia.
Rashawn Slater, a lot of people considered him offensive tackle number 1 ahead of Penei Sewell. So fantastic get there at 13. Josh Palmer, I was a big fan of his. We talked about him when we were previewing wide receivers before the draft. Thought he was going to be a great mid-round pick. So that's another weapon for Justin Herbert. I think the Chargers nailed the draft, especially that Rashawn Slater pick, because that will probably be the Chargers left tackle for years and years to come.
They're going to have, and again, they're an LA team, 3 primetime games. Here's what's smart about that, even though they stunk. Justin Herbert, you want that kid in front of a national audience a few times this year, for sure. If you're the NFL, you want that, obviously. Okay, bye week 7. Notable games, they open at Washington, New England on Halloween. Nothing else really. It depends on how the Vikings play. Honestly, with the ease of this schedule, they might have a chance at a playoff run. I think the key is going to be Justin Herbert, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Is he going to get better or is he going to get worse? A little more protection, obviously, can make a difference. He's got to win the close ones, push that team to some W's that maybe they shouldn't get. You know what I mean? Like, that's his next step, is can he will a team to some wins, kind of like Carson Wentz in 2018, 2019. But can they beat the Chiefs one time? I think if they beat the Chiefs one time, they're definitely in the playoffs because they're playing some good football. We'll see. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would consider the Chargers as one of my 7 playoff teams for the AFC right now. I think if Justin Herbert continues to excel, and just with the pieces they've been able to put around him, especially on that offensive line, and just as a fan of football in general, I kind of want to see the Chargers get better and have a legitimate team, so that way we can see those battles between a Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert twice a year, every year. Because I mean, with Herbert being 23, 24, Mahomes 20, 26, 27, something like that, both these guys are going to be with their teams for forever, for a long time, and it's just going to be exciting to watch those matchups. Yeah,
there's your Charger
for the Colts, but hopefully Carson Wentz can enter that realm.
I was just saying, there's the Chargers logo for you guys. Thought I might want to throw that up there right at the end of talking about them. Let's move along to the Broncos. Producer Brandon wearing too many hats. Broncos 5-11 last season. They pick up cornerback Ronald Darby, 3 years, $30 million. Cornerback Kyle Fuller, 1 year, $9.5 million. Not a bad couple of guys on the outside. And then they re-signed strong safety Kareem Jackson to another year. But yeah, that's a couple of good corners.
Yeah, Their secondary is fantastic. I mean, not only do they have Ronald Darby, Kyle Fuller, Kareem Jackson, didn't they just come to terms with their starting free safety? Oh, it's gonna bug me because he's the best safety he's one of the best safeties in the league, and I'm missing his name, but that secondary is gonna be dangerous for a long time because they've got young guys and the guys on their secondary very aggressive, but they make very good plays on the ball. So that second, we go from Champ Bailey and Aqib Talib
Justin
when they
Simmons
won the title. Now they've got a really strong secondary again. Justin Simmons, there we go. So I'm really excited to see what this secondary can do for the Denver Broncos
on a well-coached defense as well. And if you get Von Miller back this year playing well, I mean, who knows? Their defense could turn it around. And I'll just say it. I was going to wait. The crazy thing is the question is their offense, which it shouldn't be. That offense has got some of the best weapons in the league. I mean, absolutely great unit, but you just don't know at quarterback between Teddy Bridgewater now and Drew Lock, because they also they got Teddy Bridgewater.
They could really use an MVP caliber quarterback, maybe someone that wears number 12, maybe someone that likes
if the Broncos got Aaron Rodgers, if Aaron Rodgers went to the Broncos though, sorry Chiefs, not this year. This year's not your year, I'm telling you. But in the draft, I'm sorry, they let AJ Bouye go, outside linebacker Jeremiah Atachu, who signed 2 years with the Bears, $5.5 million. Philip Lindsay's gone too, which kind of was a household name for a while. The draft, round 1, pick 9, Patrick Surtain, another great corner, who, if he's NFL ready, as they say, I mean, they got depth now at cornerback as well. Round 2, pick 35, Javonte Williams, running back out of North Carolina. That's really the only reason I brought him up. Round 3, pick 98, Quinn Maynard, guard out of Wisconsin Whitewater. So a little protection for whatever quarterback's going to be playing. You have something?
So when you're talking about that secondary again, you're gonna have Kyle Fuller and Patrick Surtain on the outside. You got Ronald Darby in the slot, then Justin Simmons and Kareem Jackson at the safety positions. That's tough. That's a tough secondary.
That's a couple of tough days for Patrick Mahomes. We'll see.
Yeah.
Schedule. Primetime game 1. Bye week 11. Notable games. Easy start. Although they both are away games, Giants and Jags, which, playing early in the season in Jacksonville is not fun. Then they got the Jets at home. One primetime game is away at Cleveland, and they finish off the season at home against the Chiefs, which that could be the biggest game in the AFC at the end of the season. Who knows? So like I said, obvious emphasis on the secondary, loaded with offensive weapons. Von Miller should be back. Questions at quarterback are going to be the difference maker this season for the Broncos.
Yeah, it's you're absolutely right, because when you think about it, Cortland Sutton should be back. Jerry Jeudy's going to have his second year. Noah Fant is a weapon in that secondary, or not that secondary, that offense. Melvin Gordon will be there as the starting running back. So is it going to be Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater? Are they going to make a huge trade for Aaron Rodgers? We'll have to see. The Broncos season could go a lot of different ways just by the quarterback position.
Yeah.
It really could. It could either be very good, very bad, somewhere in between. It's going to be fun to watch.
All right, we got to move it along, but real quick, your prediction, Andrew, for the results of that division. I'll go first since you got to think. I've got Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders, Broncos, but after talking about the Broncos and that defense, I might have to switch the Broncos to getting third in that division. I would not bet on this one. I would not bet on this finish at all.
So last week we didn't have a single one in the same spot, and I think this week we're gonna be exactly the same. I think Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders, Broncos. As of right now, I think that's very good pick and how it should end up. if the Broncos make a trade for Aaron Rodgers, I think it's Broncos and Chiefs neck and neck for that division title. And you slide down the Chargers to third with the Raiders solidly in that fourth spot.
All right, Andrew, let's move it along to some NFL news. Saints sign offensive tackle Ryan Ramczyk to a 5-year, $96 million extension, $60 million guaranteed, making him the highest paid right tackle in football. Andrew, tell the fans why that matters.
Matters because Braden Smith's contract extension is coming up here pretty soon. So with Ryan Ramczyk basically resetting the market for right tackles, and Braden Smith's not going to get Ramczyk money because Ryan Ramczyk is probably the best right tackle in football.
Correct.
Consensus all pro, and really he's on a different level than everyone else. But with him getting about 19 to 20 million a year, I could see Braden Smith getting maybe $15 to $17 million a year rather than the traditional maybe high end of 10 to 12 for a right tackle.
Right.
So Braden Smith's contract isn't going to be cheap. His extension isn't going to be cheap, but it's well worth it because Braden Smith has established himself as one of the best right tackles in the entire league. So, but yeah, definitely has implications for the Colts on re-signing and extending Smith.
Did you see what your buddy Jake Arthur tweeted? He quote tweeted some idiot that said Darius Leonard, of the three guys that still need signed, is probably going to be the one that we end up having to let go. And the guy said, my gut, Darius Leonard's gone. And I said, and Jake quote tweeted and was like, no, probably not. Let's not be crazy. And I said, his gut is wrong. Period. The end. Darius Leonard's not going anywhere. Not some more. I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. Washington football team is being fined $10 million by the NFL after their investigation into the team's culture and workplace, all that drama from last summer. All the money is going to be donated to charity. That's pretty cool. Good for the NFL doing that. Do you have any? That's it on that.
Yeah, pretty much. We knew the NFL was gonna lay the hammer down, and then deservedly so. What was going on there in Washington was pretty disgusting, and good. Glad the money's being put to a good cause.
How ironic that when did they make that announcement?
The fine,
or
the investigation. It was this week. I forget. It was earlier this week.
How ironic that Bill Cosby gets released from prison a few days later. Jesus. Not good. Not good for, not a good week. Piece of shit. The 49ers, Cowboys, and Jaguars have all been fined by more fines. That's where I was getting at earlier when I said more. Have all been fined by the NFL for off-season workout violations. All three head coaches received fines as well. What did they do, Andrew?
So they were breaking rules of OTAs. It kind of just varied by team. They didn't really announce it, but it could be either they had contact because you're really not supposed to have contact in OTAs,
right?
Longer practices than they should have been, things of that nature. But because OTA is supposed to be light, and obviously they didn't do that, so the NFL slapped them on the wrist pretty much. Well,
Cowboys are going to be getting their money back. Awesome Hard Knocks money. The NFL, the Dallas Cowboys are expected to be the team to be featured on HBO's Hard Knocks this season. Love it. We talked about this. Did we talk about it, or was that off air? We definitely talked about it off air, but I didn't know if we talked about it on air. Love it. I mean, that's a good fit. It works. It was them or the Jags.
This will be the third time that the Dallas Cowboys have been on Hard Knocks. There's a lot of storylines with the Cowboys too, with how bad the team was last year, Dak Prescott coming back, how Zeke is going to rebound. It's going to be a fun season of Hard Knocks.
McCarthy.
And we're going to break it all down like we did last year. I think that was fun, so we'll do it again.
Yeah, we definitely
McCarthy,
will.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that McCarthy's going to be on it. He's electric. Let's move it along, Andrew, to your segment, The New Kid at School. See, in this week, because I felt bad about last week, I made the bell way too quiet, but you get it.
So new kid at school this week, we're going Sean Davis, the Colts, that fifth round selection in the NFL draft. He was selected at the 165th pick this year. Born and raised in Miami, and he actually, before he even made it to high school, when he was just a little kid playing Pee Wee football, he already started generating some buzz for himself. He was one of the top players on the youth team, the Palmetto Bay Broncos was his youth team, and he already started. A lot of people in the area were kind of wondering where he'd go to high school, where he'd play football. So already getting attention from a young age. He did end up enrolling at Southridge High School, or Southridge Senior High School, excuse me, and started out on junior varsity. He didn't stay there long because coaches had to move him up to varsity almost immediately because he had 4 interceptions in his first 4 games on junior varsity as a freshman. So he immediately got moved up to the varsity team. And then by his junior year, that season, he had 27 tackles, 2 interceptions. And as a senior, he led Southridge to the Class 8A state championship, and he earned first team All-State honors in 2016. Now, when you're talking about this, he was still only a 3-star prospect because he was kind of just a hybrid defensive back. Played some corner, played some safety. It was all over the place, but he did receive, even though he's only a 3-star, he received scholarship offers from actually a few dozen schools, believe it or not. And he ended up committing to Florida over the Miami Hurricanes, Alabama, LSU, and USC. Those were his top 5. And instead of going with the hometown of the U at Miami, he went down to Gainesville. And he didn't really start out too great at Florida. Up to Gainesville, you get it. He didn't really start out with a bang at Florida. He mostly played as a reserve and on special teams in his freshman year, and he missed the first 4 games of his sophomore year due to injury. So it really wasn't until his junior season when he entered the starting lineup, but that's when he made an immediate impact as soon as he did. He had 51 tackles, 6 pass deflections, and 3 interceptions, which one he returned for a touchdown even his junior year. So he pretty much solidified himself as a starter as soon as he entered the lineup. And now, while again, he missed the final 5 games of his senior year due to injuries, he still led the Florida Gators in interceptions with 2 that year, had 40 tackles in 7 games. So when he was out there, he was pretty electric, but he did have some injury issues throughout his college career, which definitely didn't help him, and he missed quite a few games. But hey, he still earned an invite to the Senior Bowl. And Chris Ballard and the Colts, they love the guys that are at the Senior Bowl. They love getting up close and seeing a good look at them there at the Senior Bowl. And that's where the Colts really, really got on him. Now, moving on to how he's going to have an impact with the Colts. Number one thing that stands out with Sean Davis, incredibly high football IQ. We talked about Kylan Granson's high football IQ. Sean Davis is the same way. The Florida coaches called him the quarterback of the secondary, and Chris Ballard this offseason has compared him to where Kari Willis was as a rookie coming in as far as football IQ. Very, very mature, a guy that has his head on straight, just head first into the playbook. Very smart guy. And he's very, very rangy and a twitchy athlete. So I see him playing more of a free safety type. So he'll probably be the backup to Julian Blackman, and he can cover a lot of ground quickly. So you watch the film, Sean Davis is all over the field. He's got a big nose for the football too. 5 interceptions in 19 games his final 2 years at Florida. The Colts love to draft guys and get guys on their team that can create turnovers on defense, break up passes, just always around the ball. And that's what Sean Davis does. Now, he is a tad undersized for a safety. He was 5'11" and 199 pounds. And he definitely needs to shore up his tackling. When you watch the film, he's kind of a guy that likes to put his head down when he's running towards someone to tackle. Matty Eberflus is going to have to work on him with that, especially with the loafing system. You don't want to be missing tackles. But as far as an immediate impact with the Colts, I see Sean Davis as a reserve safety. a guy that will probably, if the Colts do start to use more 3 safety look, Sean Davis could enter that lineup. Definitely will be probably the free safety backup, and he'll have an immediate impact on special teams as well. But with a guy of that high of football IQ, it's definitely good to have those smart reserves that can pick up things quickly, and he seems ready to work. So that's Sean Davis.
All right. That's it. New kid at school, another good one, Andrew. Next week, we should be back to our normal Sunday schedule. Talk about the offensive line. Talk about the offensive line. As well as the... You want me to talk about... Listen, here's what we'll do. If you're watching this, go down in the comments and tell me if you want to see AFC West or NFC West or AFC North. Sorry. Woo! The original two I was thinking about going with first. Those are two really intriguing ones to me. So those are the two that you get to choose from. Leave a comment. If you're listening on the podcast, go tweet at us. Leave a review. Something. Somebody tell me which one to do next, please. Maybe Rams and maybe AFC, maybe NFC West. But we'll see. Go follow us at the Educated Fan _. The Educated Fan _ on Twitter and on Instagram. Please go follow us on Instagram as well as on Facebook. You can like us, follow us, whatever the hell it's called on there. It's just the Educated Fan. I hit the wrong button. And then also, I got a new little pop-up, Andrew. I'm trying to do the new pop-up. Bang. Boom. Go to our website, theeducatedfan.com, and now you can see it. See what I did there? I'm getting cool with stuff. But yeah, that's it, I think. Thank you for listening. Andrew, see if we time this right today. I'm gonna need a big wait for it, and go Colts.
I fucking love football and I love you guys.
Let's try it again. Need you to come in earlier with the delay here, okay? Here, we're going to try it again, everybody. You ready? Little low beat. I love this song. I love what I made out of this. All right.
Celebrate America this weekend. Go Colts.
Go Colts!